Hello, everyone. My name is Jason. I'm the Wizard of Ops. Hey, Jay, how are you?
Hey, good, Jason. How's your weekend? Did you have a good one?
It was all right. What did we do? I don't even remember what we did. The weekends just fly. Oh, I introduced my kids to Lord of the Rings. That's what I did.
How was that? How did that go?
No, they enjoyed it. They enjoyed it. Probably too much. They enjoyed it. But yeah, I saw you head bobbing though to the intro song. You like
I
that song,
did. I did. It was very catchy this morning. I don't know why. I've heard that for many weeks now, but today it hit the spot, I guess.
right? Was your weekend well?
Yeah, no, it was really well. My kids' games are in full swing, right? So I think there was about 5 days this week where I was at a
Oh,
elementary school or a
oh.
middle school, watching my kid, but super excited. Really, really stoked for that.
All right, Jay, tell me what you got, what you're seeing this week.
Yeah, let's jump right into the Discord if you don't mind. So let's quickly, before we get into this week, kind of talk about last week. Just a quick recap for the group and kind of how we trade and use Volland here. So last week, my big call out was essentially 5,900, right?
Mhm.
If the Bulls recapture 5,900, hold above it, more than likely going to go all the way up to 5,950, if not 5,975. We got 3 points
Hmm.
from 75. So, the big call out there, the Vanna exposure chart, like I love it, especially on
Mhm.
the weekly. It kind of gives you that blueprint, right? I think, but my only expectation was, I mean, I was not going to get bearish until we broke 58.50, and we
Mhm.
technically did that in futures action. But if you notice, like in futures action, went to like 58.20, and then immediately got bought up. I don't know if you saw that hour after we hit
Mhm.
58.20, it just got bought up. Like, it was a generational buy dip. So
Mhm.
clearly you can see the markets are in a buy the dip mode. At this point in time, 5,900 was last week's key move. Going into this week, there's not a lot of catalysts. We do, or at least today, but the next 2 days, shockingly, for a shortened week, we do have quite a bit of catalysts. So to call those out, consumer confidence, U.S. home sales are a couple of those. But on Wednesday, we have the U.S. GDP, we have unemployment claims, durable goods orders, the Chicago PMI, the US PCE, pending home sales, and the FOMC meeting minutes. So to say that the short week might be full of some catalysts, like hopefully not, but you can see Wednesday's clearly one of those bigger, bigger, bigger days.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, looks like a lot of catalysts on Wednesday. I mean, my view of last week, um, I think, and even this week, is the non-scheduled catalyst kind of look because, I mean, that dip you were talking about, the 58.20, was about Russia and the threat of nuclear war, and so implied volatility spiked a little bit, but people started buying it up, and then on Friday, uh, all that implied volatility that we kind of over vixed, it went down and more. Like Friday, we went down 1.3 points in VIX, but only went up like what 0.5% in SPX. So that was a strong undervixing that overshadowed anything that was done prior. So I
yeah,
mean, I think that too kind of pushed even today's pre-market. I know a lot of people are talking about the Treasury Secretary, and that's why people are happy that a
yep.
hedge fund manager is Treasury Secretary. I don't know. I think we're on YouTube enough. I guess that makes us uh, qualified to serve in cabinet. But
I'll leave it
yeah.
at
So I
that.
mean, it's whatever the reason is. I mean, there's a vol crunch happening, but because of low Vanna, like any vol crunch rally is going to be undervixed, and so I mean that's kind of what I'm looking at is when implied volatility expands. I mean, that 6,000, which I guess we're bumping up against now, that
Yep.
6,000 level is strong in Vanna. So to get back up to like the 60, 75 kind of area is going to be tough, I think. But
Yeah, well, let's get into
yeah, let's
that.
check it out.
So really quickly, from an earnings standpoint, there are still some companies reporting earnings this week, shockingly. A few of those: Zoom, Dell, Best Buy, Macy's, Dick's, Kohl's. So a bunch of consumer kind of, you know, discretionary kind of companies will be reporting this coming week. So just keep that on the lookout there. Shouldn't be too impactful to the market, those companies, but never say never, right? The market makers are expecting about a 65-point move this week. So that puts us roughly about 60.34 to the upside, and then somewhere about 59.04 to the downside. Uh, I'm going to quickly skip like the aggregate Vanna. I mean, you can see here we are getting some Vanna back in here, but it's not clearly at the levels we were prior to this year. Would be a little bit shocked if we see that grow before the end of this year, but it's good to see some Vanna come into the market. I think my big call out here for this week is, as I was looking at the cumulative Vanna exposure, right? I mean, there's naturally this area is what I call the chop range, right? Dealers are essentially at balance is how I kind of look at this, right? So, to get some movement within this range, you either got to wait for the extremes and maybe, short it or long it, those extremes there. But I agree with you, kind of get that larger push up, especially these big spikes here. And I think that's like 60.25 to 60.50, excuse me, is this range here. Like
Mhm.
you're dead on to get to these higher prices. And if you look at the weekly view, it's the same exact view. It doesn't happen this often where you get the whole expression looking like the weekly view
Yeah.
as well. And you can kind of clearly see the extremes here again. So this is kind of my neutral chop zone. And then you can see like that's going to take a lot to sell. That's going to take a lot to buy on the weekly. So we might be pinned here potentially, 59.25 is roughly this support level, and then you've got essentially 6,000 here. I'll quickly pause. Your thoughts?
Yeah. I think like, you see that green area right there. That's kind of where I would see a little support. Where you have their red, that's kind of when I would start, that divot down there in red is what I'd keep an eye out on. Like if we sell off. I think like Black Friday tends to be a sell off kind of day, an illiquid kind of sell off. Um, but I guess, Black Friday is also only a half a day. So, um, but I do think that geopolitically we could have some problems too. So just kind of keep an eye on that and keep an eye on implied volatility because that's not going to dip. That's not going to dip to zero, and even if it does, I mean, it dips much further down than what it is now. It has to really, really drop in order to get above that 60-50 area. So it's kind of what I
I
see. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I agree with you. I think for me, like even just looking at, we'll look at IB here once we get the updated numbers from Volland, right? But looking at even the VIX overnight, like we keep going down, right?
Jeez.
And we don't see this movement. And bless you, by the way,
Thank you.
we still haven't seen this movement in the SPX relative to the movement in the VIX, right? And so keep an eye. At some point, those two are going to figure each other out, right? And you don't want to be on the opposite side of that move. How much more lower can the VIX go? I mean, we did get into the 12s, the 13s a couple times this year, right? But
Mhm. Well, I
yeah,
realized
it's
vol's around 10. So, I mean,
yeah,
that's as low as I think it possibly could go. It hasn't gone that low all year long. I guess, 12 would be a support because that's where it's been. But overall, I'm with the low Vanna the low Vanna and not very much put support at all, just like that little itty bitty tab. Um, it's very difficult for me to see implied volatility going down for forever,
yeah, agreed. All right, so let's kind of jump into that. So at least the key levels on the week here. Sorry, the Vanna, excuse me. So this kind of 5990 to 6,000 range, you do see some positive Vanna and negative Vannas depending on what time frame you're kind of looking at. So expect a fight. And if I go through it, we actually just broke out of 6,000 on the charts. So for those looking at it, the futures action has officially popped above 6,000 in the SPX. So my opinion is going to 60-15 if it holds this, right? So that was the kind of the next big Vanna area. And then from there, the 60-20 to 60-30 region, same thing. You've got a kind of a cluster of negative and positive Vannas. So your next quote unquote fight there between the bears and bull will become this zone here. And if you do take out that zone, obviously you have all of this positive Vanna and then 60-55 being the only negative Vanna here. That's going to be the next area of resistance. So on the week, that's what we see there. And then from a support level, like 59.60, 59.50, 59.45. But the big ones, as you mentioned, that divot there is 59.25 to 5900. So if I see price here, we don't have a catalyst. Might be a great opportunity to long, but if we make our way back to 5,900, that worries me honestly a little bit. Why did we get back down to 5,900?
Yeah. Yeah, 100 points in a short week is usually there'd be a reason for that one.
Yeah, 100%. Gamma levels, like you got the massive tower at 5,900, 60-50 is another one there. And then you got a couple of, 60-25, 6,000, and then 59-20 that also have popped up.
Yeah, well, that
So I
5,900
guess,
right there, those are dealer long calls, and those are always, that's kind of like why I am look to the downside. All those in the money calls throughout December is asking for gamma run down. Also, as they expire, customers who hold those are going to reposition in 2025. People assume, because it's usually the way it is that that's bullish. But if they're in the money calls, that means they're going to have to pay money in order to reposition. That's a lot of money that they're going to have to pay. So if they do that, then they're going to have to sell some of their underlying in order to pay for it.
correct.
But so I kind of think repositioning this year is going to be a little bit bearish rather than bullish. So
there's a good chance. And like I said, let's see how this week goes. Really quickly, because I know we've got some items to get through here today. But so for me, the key levels on the week, if we do come down to the downside, that 5,900 to 5,925 zone, watch to see how we react there. The next zone of support, that 5,950, 65, it's support, but it's not a high confidence area, at least from a Vanna standpoint. So just keep that in mind. And 6,000 was my pivot. We just broke it. So in my opinion, we're going to that 60-25 level, and then we'll see if we get a failed breakout of that or not. If that breaks out, in my opinion, we're going to 60-50. Anything above and beyond 60-50, like, I'm a little bit iffy on that, to be quite honest. Especially this shortened week here. I'd even be shocked if we get to 60-50. I think my rough estimate, there is like a Vanna there. I'm keeping an eye on around 60-30 as well. They're out of the money calls. So I want to see if that's going to end up being a barrier and a resistance and somewhere where we might find the top on the week. But
well, if we hit 60-50, we're going back to negative Vanna. So
that's very good. That's what I was going to ask you. Do you mind looking? Are we in negative Vanna territory if we go back up there?
If we go to 60-50, we're in negative Vanna quite a bit.
Okay, good. All right, good call. So there it is. I mean, above here, if you're trading, right? I had levels marked at 60, 15, 20, then 25 as a pivot, then you get to 30, then 50. Keep those in mind. We've made what? Almost over almost 0.65% move in the ES overnight already. So if you are trading, don't get caught in the middle here. Like this week, in my opinion, is just another week of precision especially if you're day trading. Keep an eye on the VIX and volatility as well. But yeah, I think that's all I have on my side, Jason, for this week. Anything else you want to add?
No, I mean I think I added enough, but I guess it's time. It's what 15 minutes. I guess it's time to see. It's time to see what news you have for us.
Yeah, well, I think I'm going to let you break this. I think there's a couple of massive new features or things you wanted to share out to the world. If you don't want to share it, I'm happy to because it's exciting news to me when I heard about it. So I can
Sure,
take some of that credit.
sure. So I guess the first thing I'll share is this week we are launching our API service, in which you can access all of our, well, most of anyway, the Volland data via API. It does require a live membership, but this week is kind of it's a big launch for us. I think it's a big deal. It helps people with their algorithmic trading and signaling. So, I mean, Jay, you had kind of a preview of it. What'd you think?
I mean, I loved it. There's a lot of ideas. I'm starting to kind of think on my end, right? How I can use the data and speaking to some of the developers when they're letting me test it. So, I mean, I'm excited. Like you see the purple lines here. A lot of people think I automate this. Like, no, that's manual J going in there and hitting a few buttons of lines to represent some of these key Vanna levels. So I am extremely excited for this. Like when I was testing it, I was like, oh, this is so glorious. And I can do this potentially and do that. So I'm excited for it. And kudos to you and the team for getting that through. The APIs are super easy to use, didn't have any problems. Tested it, both in intraday, outside of the session, I mean. But yeah, this is for those who kind of like to take their trading to the next level and automate some of it. This is it. This is
Yeah.
what you asked for.
Yeah, I mean, we're very excited. I think I think it'll help Volland kind of help everybody's trading with Volland data integrated into their own algorithms and stuff. Um, again, like the big differentiators of Volland is, the way we get our data has a lot more fidelity than anybody else out there. Um, we don't use like assumptions on OI. We collect every single option trade. We store every option trade, and we we categorize it and calculate it all, and we keep it. So when you see these levels that are on here that Jay is showing you, a lot of it's existing positioning that has already happened, and there's not assumptions. We go trade by trade, every single option, and so it has a very high fidelity. Looks like we're going to hit your 60-15 pretty quick, huh?
Yeah, I'm like, holy cow. I mean, here's my big call out for the group, right? Like when you're looking and trading this, like this is the opportunity you wait for, right? Because look at the liquidity. You saw how fast once we broke 6,000,
Yeah.
right? And these are when I'm looking at Volland and I lay these out on my chart. I'm a very visual person, obviously, so this is what helps me. How it helps you could be completely different, right? And I look for these big spaces. It means that I'm not going to have a lot of conflict or friction. The movement should go as expected because there wasn't a lot of negative anti resistance kind of above here until 60-15. So these are the things like here's another 10-point range where you have pretty clear, coast sailing, right? So this is how I use it. This is how I develop some of those trade plans. It doesn't mean always like, hey, I'm going to enter 90 to take it to 95, right? Like I want to see how price reacts at some of these key levels. And I waited overnight. I set an entry at 6,000, so I got to go see what my automated trigger did here with after we get done. But yeah, like you can kind of see the system works. Like trust me, have faith, have conviction in the data. Now that you get it via the API, you might be able to do fancy automated things like this. But I think ultimately, it's one of the few platforms I've like changed my trading world quite a bit, Wiz, right? Like I had the
Mhm.
same problems every other trader did. I didn't have the conviction. There's a level, it was important, but why? I had no freaking clue. Right?
Yeah, I mean, some of those assumptions and that are prevalent out there. I mean, there are some they made those assumptions for a reason because they're right sometimes, But it's kind of like during the pandemic, we had those COVID tests, the first ones that were take home, and they were like 60% accurate. And you would take their test and you'd be like, all right, so do I have COVID or not? You can't trust
Yeah.
your test. And
Yep.
so if even like 80% accurate, you still, well, is this the 20% time? I have to take like 4 tests in order to make sure that at $20 a pop to make sure that I don't have COVID or do. So it's getting false readings all the time.
Yeah.
This one, I mean, when we've measured it against CBOE trade level data, it was 95%. And then for something like this where you kind of have to um, categorize, and we have like a very complicated categorization algorithm. Um, but when you have to do something like that, 95 is pretty darn good. Like you're not going to get much better than that.
Yeah.
So, and we look to refine it all the time. So yeah, I mean that you get high fidelity data, and that's what we do. And now you can get high fidelity data and integrate it with anything else that you're using, footprint or uh, your trend lines or your trading view or whatever you need to. Um, so yeah, so in celebration, I guess, of our API release and of Black Friday, Thanksgiving week, and Cyber Monday, and whatever else they're going to name the days of the week. Uh, Small Business Tuesday, Charity Wednesday, you know, pay for my kids' college Thursday, whatever, um, and returns Friday. Jay, tell us a little bit more about what we're doing for that.
Yeah, so super excited about this special offer, especially for those who are like on the verge on, you've seen our show, you've seen some of my trade plans, you hear the excitement. Well, Volland is super excited to offer you $200 off of your membership. Correct me if I'm wrong here, Wiz, but for three
Live
months.
live
Oh no,
membership,
am I wrong? Yeah, no,
live
live
membership.
membership, live membership specifically. Thank you for cleaning my verbiage there.
Yeah,
So
we're not
live
paying you
membership,
$50 for your basic membership.
that's right. Yeah. So live membership, you get $200 off. You get the API access. You get Volin Live, which for those who follow me intraday, I cannot live without Volin Live, right?
Mhm.
Especially if I'm scalping, not doing anything swinging potentially. Volin Live literally is how I make this, call it a secondary income in my life. I'm not here to make Lambos, Jason, but I know full as well when I need a couple of extra thousand in a week, I can rely on good old Volin and Volin Live. So, uh, thank you for this amazing offer. Again, for those who don't have it, we'll post it, but the promo code DM Dark Matter Live,
Mhm.
you will get 200 if I'm correct. I'm
Mhm.
just pulling up DM Live
3 months.
200 is the promo code. Sorry,
Yeah.
it's Monday morning here. I am
follow
trying to,
follow Dark Matter. What's your Twitter handle?
Dark Matter Trade
Dark
is
Matter
my,
Trade. So follow him. You'll get your he'll give you the promo code there. Look at that. We hit like exactly on your spot, and now we're moving down a little bit.
exactly. The levels don't lie, my friend. The levels don't lie.
um, yeah. So I mean, follow Dark Matter. So this is partially like an API launch. That's why we chose $200 because it's we're the API price is $200 for or $500. I'm sorry, for 2,000 calls, for 2,000 API calls, not options. But but yeah. So I mean, we do that for 3 months. Kind of try to get this integrated into your trade plan, see how it works. Um, but yeah, so that's going to be our Black Friday special.
I'm posting it right now for the world. So interested in our So it's coming on my Twitter again, Dark Matter Trade. You'll find me there, so I'll post the promo code. So yeah.
Great. Do we have any questions? Looks like we have no questions today. What do you think, man?
Oh, we must have done an amazing job with explaining this week then. I mean, I feel pretty good.
Yeah. I mean, it's a short week. I'd be surprised if there's a lot of people even watching. It's people take their vacation this week, and even during Christmas time, you don't get the day off and half day combo. You usually only get like just the day off on Christmas. So yeah, that's kind of the so I wouldn't be surprised if everybody left a little early for their Thanksgiving plans.
Yeah, I mean, that is another good call out. Just, if you didn't pick up on that, like the actions are going to be extremely slow this week. There's like maybe Monday, Tuesday, and like I said, Wednesday, you do have those catalysts, but more than likely positions are already going to come in prior to that. So the moves will be determined at that point in time. But yeah, I just don't spend too much time on your screen. Go enjoy it with your family. Enjoy that time off, right? Thursday, the markets will be closed. And then Friday, from what I remember, they'll be open, but only until 1 p.m. Eastern, if that's beautiful.
Yeah. For some reason, American markets cannot be closed on 2 straight days. I always found that. I mean, like that's literally the rule, and I don't quite understand that, but like other markets do. Like China's closed for a week.
Yeah.
Like why can't this week might as well be closed.
Can you just imagine the volatility that like a week closure might create? Like, let's say the world goes on fire during that week and then comes less on fire. Like, what would that do to the market?
There'll definitely be some repricing if that ever happened, but
yeah. Holy cow, my mind just went.
All
right, anything
Jay,
else on your end?
Happy Thanksgiving and enjoy your holiday, and may Volland help you with your future trading ventures.